Hey campers, George here, back in the man cave. You know what? It snowed last night. Woke up this morning and a beautiful layer of snow. Woot! You know what that means? We're back at it in Minnesota. Time for a trudge. But before we do that, I got to show you something. Very proud of this. Been waiting years to do this. And that is, get a complete collection of knives from the same manufacturer and the same series. Well, as you know, budget guy, right? So what do? I started on Rough Rider, but I'm stuck. I'm waiting for one to come out. It's out of stock. The horror. But Marbles came through for me, and you know what? I'm a Marbles guy. I like their stuff. And this series really got my attention. It wasn't going to cost me an arm and a leg, and there wasn't 400 of them. Just a very basic 8 G10 Orange series. I was so pleased with myself when I got it completed, and I did do reviews on all of them separate. I'll put a list below if you want to have a look at the videos. You can choose which one you look at. I didn't just want to have them lying around willy-nilly. That don't work. It's my first collection. So I thought, let me get a box for them. Yeah, not as easy as it sounds. So you know me, off to the shed, scrabbling around in my pieces of wood. The choices were slim. This wasn't looking good. But I managed something. This little box, out of scrap wood, worked pretty well. This is how I did it. Back in the South 40 man cave, let's make us a box. So I gathered all the wood I had lying around. This was hobby stuff, mainly basswood, pretty light wood. Thought it would be easy to use. So I just measured the size of the boxes of the knives, which was the tallest one, and then just made it a little bit taller than that. I was just going to do some very basic dovetail kind of joints for the corners. Here I'm just marking them out. Get them all lined up. The width of each side. And then had to just cut them out to match. Yeah, you can see it shows you how soft the wood is. I was just tapping it with my chisel. They popped out. And then get them lined up. Keep in mind, this is really rough stuff. This was really a test box to me to see if it would work. I didn't have enough to make the base or the lid actually. I actually had to mix and match wood on the lid. And then I decided just to use some pressboard stuff for the base. I was going to darken everything. So I have here a dark oak that I put on. You can see I made a real mess doing that. And now I'm trying to get it all lined up, matched up, make sure it fits. Just use some Elmer's wood glue. Well, everything glue. This stuff is actually better than you think. It dries rock solid and holds pretty good. Here I was just cleaning up the edges, trimming things down, getting the boxes laid out with the wood in between. So there you go. Here it is. All fancied up and looking antique-ish. Well, had to do something. The wood was terrible. I stuck it together with glues, nails, spit, and polish. I found an old Marbles box from the GI series. My GI series is in my fishing chest pack. Didn't need the box anymore. It's been there. That's where it's going to stay. So, oh no. It's back. Oh lordy. So I just cut the label out and stuck it on there, and it says marbles. Very cool. Proud of myself. What can I say? Didn't want a handle on the top because my idea is this is how I'm going to package my knives, and I'm going to store them. And having a handle on top, it's going to be all rickety and rocky. This way they can just sit on top and we'll be good. Let's have a look at, you know what? I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the knives and do a voiceover so you can see all that, and then we'll talk about them. What do you say to that? Let's do it. So yeah, I have it laid out. You can see the lid there with the little sticker thing I'll put on there to show it's the marbles collection. And yeah, you can see them all laid out. They are random. I didn't put them in any particular order. I made them so that the whole box would fit in, and if I want to, I can put the lid on top of each box and just keep each one secure. Like I said, it's just a random layout. It was the best layout I thought in that box. Here we have the first one. This one was pretty popular on my reviews. You'll see why in a second. You can see here. Yeah, it's a Reaper. That blade is awesome. And they all have that Marbles logo on the blades, which I'm not a fan of. But hey, what do? They have the orange G10 handles with the black accents and then the black shield on it. And then the bolsters have a little black extra bit on the bolster where you can see the pivot point there. This one has a lanyard hole. I'm not sure. I don't think they all do. I think just this one here. Very clean. I really like this series. I like the way they felt. The look was great. And they all have that half stop. And they have pretty good springs in them. So there you go. The next one. Yeah, you have it here. I don't know what it is. Open the blades, George. You can see it has everything that they all do. They use nickel silver pins, and then they use the nail neck. You can see on this one, which is unusual, there's two nail necks. See that? One high and one low. Not sure why they did that, but I found them to be, the low ones to be really handy, the straight ones. See that? That's hard to get, and this is the low one. There you see it has a clip point, the badge and everything. They're all very, very similar. Basically, the type is what changes it. You can see on the Ricasso there, it has the marbles thing and then the model number and, of course, China on the other side. And they all do that on the main blades. They are very well made. There's very few gaps, if any, between the liners and things like that. Very nice. And like I said, they do have a pretty good spring on it. Here is the spay blade. It's supposed to be a trapper. I think this is the trapper. And you can see how long and thin that trapper is. They do have a false blade on there. You can see that, which gives you that point for the spay blade. Pretty common. That was the thing I liked about this series. The styles they chose were very familiar in the old traditional knives. They just made them a little bit more modern. This one amused me. This obviously is a toothpick. You can see just how small that thing is. Very well made, same thing. Everything's the same, it's just tiny. And this blade, you can see where the name comes from. Just like any toothpick, it has that long sweeping on it that you can see it has a nail neck, but it has that long sweep with a really pointy thing on the end. And they all have the model numbers and all that good stuff on them. That clip is a long sweep. It's, it's even more than what I'd call a California clip. Very pointy and pokey. Pretty cool. See how small that is? I'm trying to get them in so that all the things match. Here you have the leg knife. Some people call it a lady leg. Some people just call it a leg. And the cool thing about this is it's small again. And although they refer it to a lady leg, it's really not that much. More of a guy thing. You can see it has that deep, almost like a Bowie clip. And it has all the same stuff on. You can see how aggressive that nail nick is. Very nice. And it has that false blade coming down to the point again. This is the cool thing about it. They all have that half stop. And I'll show you now. Did not know this before, and I was told about this. Interestingly enough, that boot, the shoe, is actually a bottle opener. And they work allegedly. So I thought that was pretty cool. Never thought about that when I looked at them. Always wondered why they had that specific shape. This guy, a long straight knife, typical doctor's knife. When I say typical, the blade is very typical. It has that look, long and thin and dead straight. Doctors used to use those on their house calls. They use them to cut up pills, separate the medicines, tongue depression, you name it. They use it for everything. The only thing that on the traditional ones that this is missing, you can see it has that false blade. The swedge is the other name used for that. This one doesn't have a pipe cleaner on it, which is kind of like a long pokey thing. Looks like a long giant needle. That was pretty common on the doctor's knives. This one didn't have it. I think they did that because, you always saw the picture of the doctor. He had his pipe in his mouth, and they used to use it to clean their pipes. This one, you can tell how that blade is sticking out, right out of the handle like that. This can only be one thing, and that is a cleaver. Look at that thing. It's huge. It's really, that point on the bottom there is really pokey. You can see the nail nicks and everything. It has everything that the other ones have. It does have a swedge, that false blade on the top. And that tip there is really pokey. You'll notice that the handle curves up. See that in your hand when you're holding it. So the half stop like all of them. Nice, strong spring on that guy. This guy, this is one of my favorite blades. It is such a weirdo blade. When I first saw it, I had no idea what it was. And you can see it there. You can see how unusual that blade is. And that is a cotton sampler. Very old school, no longer used today. Obviously, we have the technology to sample cotton other ways. But you can see it has that deep belly, comes around to almost that spade blade look to it at the tip, but really big. That sweeping belly. People today like this knife for skinning. You got that long sweeping belly, nice and sharp. Got a little pokey thing at the top, but it's not pokey, so you're not going to accidentally poke through the hide that you're skinning off. So pretty cool. Really unusual blade, but common in traditional knives. This knife here is what started it all. I love a solid, good Boy Scout knife. for a multi-tool type knife for young guys to learn on. It's even for, for guys like me who go camping and you guys and outdoors. And this has all the tools you need for that. And it's so basic, it's perfect. It's got everything you need. It's got that big long spear pointish blade, a nice solid blade. You can do some serious cutting with it. It has the can opener, you can see it there, the can opener. Then it has an awl, which has the hole in it so that you can stitch things up if you need to repair your tent or anything like that. And it's an awl, obviously, you can make holes in things. And then it has the bottle opener, screwdriver, that flathead screwdriver on the end, and of course the bail. Very typical for a scout knife. They took a really traditional knife, well known, and put G10 handles and brightened it up. This was the start of my collection, and I really like this Scout. Of all the Scouts I have, this one is probably my favorite. I have a Camp King, which is very nice, but this is just a personal favorite. Very nice. Very clean. The whole series was well made. What do you do? Here we go. Back at it again. She always wins the argument. I don't know why I bother. Okay. She decided to move along and, I don't know, not going to do any work. She's going to take a nap as well. There you go. My collection. Marble. G10 Orange series. Love this collection. And the box, I like the idea. I just need to get some real wood for it. But this works for me. It looks kind of rustic, which is outdoorish, which is what marbles is really all about. This collection really got my attention. This guy was the start of it, the Boy Scout. They really did a good job on this. It's a modern look at a traditional old school knife. The whole series is well done. It's all matched. The other thing I did was I kept the boxes. I wanted to keep the boxes, and the way I would normally store them would be to put them in the box and put them back in just like that. You can see the marbles. I'm very happy with this. This is a huge accomplishment for me. Something I always wanted to do was have my own collection. This is me. How much did this cost? You'd be surprised. Marbles is a budget knife bunch, and they do a good job on it. What I paid for these things? Well, here it is. The total. Just about anybody can afford this series. Just saying. You all be safe out there, especially with this bunch of knives. They got some pokey things, sharp things, shiny things. Everything you want in a series. I think their choice of the styles is a really good choice of traditional, common series knives. That's what I liked about it. A couple of unusual ones. It was interesting looking them up and finding the history of them. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe. You know the story. Pretty sure I'll be back. Working on the Rough Rider thing. I wait with bated breath. Just can't find that last one. But that's a lot bigger series. I think there's like 14 or 15 knives in it. A little bit more expensive than this one, and it took me longer. Like I said, I started that one first. And, I realized I had like 3/4 of this already, so I just finished it off. Didn't cost me an arm and a leg. Perfect. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.